Have you ever wondered why some ideas just click while others totally vanish? Well, today we're going to break down a really simple but powerful framework for genius-level communication. It's a method designed to make your message absolutely unforgettable. So, let's dive in. Okay, let's just start with a question that, if you've ever been a creator, a teacher, a leader, you've definitely asked yourself this. Why does so much great, valuable information get completely ignored? You can pour your heart and soul into something. The content is rock solid, but it just doesn't land. So what is going on here? Well, here's the kicker. The answer, based on the psychology we're looking at today, isn't about how good your information is. It's all about how it's structured. See, most content fails because it lacks what's called cognitive organization. It just leaves the brain feeling totally overwhelmed, and it can't connect the dots. And that brings us right to the heart of the issue, the information overwhelm problem. Look, our brains are constantly filtering things out. It's a survival mechanism. And if something isn't presented in a way that's super easy to process, guess what? It gets tossed. So let's break down what's actually happening inside our heads. The big idea we really have to get our heads around is this: cognitive organization. It's basically the art of arranging information into a logical structure so our brain can spot the pattern, make those crucial connections, and actually remember it. This is the missing piece in almost all communication. Without it, you're not really informing anyone. You're just kind of chucking random facts at a wall and hoping something sticks. But hey, don't worry. There is a solution, and it's a psychologically proven format that's actually super rare because it mirrors how the most intelligent and effective minds process the world. This is the good stuff we're here to unpack today. And here it is, the roadmap, the problem, explain, apply structure. That's it, just 3 simple steps. First, you identify a problem. Second, you explain the why behind it. And third, you give a clear, actionable application. It's simple, it's powerful, and it is totally backed by psychology. Let's break down each one. So first up, step 1, the curiosity gap. Every great piece of communication, every lesson that sticks, it always starts by identifying a problem, or what psychologists call a missing piece in someone's understanding. Now, your goal here is not to give the answer away immediately. It's to trigger curiosity. And trust me, curiosity is the engine of intelligence. And what's so cool about this is how it taps into our metacognitive IQ, which is really just a fancy way of saying our ability to think about our own thinking. When you present a problem, you're basically handing your audience a magnifying glass and asking them to look inward. You're shining a light on a gap in their self-awareness, making them ask that all-important question, why do I think that way? And these are the exact kinds of thinking patterns you can challenge to create that curiosity gap. You can poke at things like extreme certainty, that feeling that we've got it all figured out, or blame shifting, where nothing is ever our fault, or rigid thinking, where we just can't see another perspective. When you highlight these, your audience gets immediately invested in finding a better way. Okay, so now that you've got them hooked with curiosity, it's time to build step 2, the authority bridge. See, once you have their attention, you have to explain the why with some real psychological depth. This is where you move beyond just catchy slogans and you build genuine authority. This slide is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. So instead of just saying you're stressed, which anyone can say, you reframe it. You explain that they're experiencing hypervigilance, which is a state that comes from our old survival needs. And boom, instantly that person feels deeply seen and understood, not just labeled. And this works for positive traits too. Don't just tell someone you're smart. Explain that what they have is high pattern recognition. Don't just call them a perfectionist. Frame it as having high verbal intelligence and a deep need for clarity. This is how you validate their experience using real insight. But look, insight alone isn't enough. Information without application is just trivia, right? And that brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial step, the actionable takeaway. This is where we turn that aha moment into real, lasting change. The entire goal here is to empower your audience. It's all about moving them from being stuck inside a box of rigid thinking to actively using their new insight. You're giving them the tools to analyze their own behavior and start making actual adjustments. You're handing them the keys to their own mind. And you do that by giving them practical, science-backed tools and routines, stuff they can actually do tonight. Things like using sleep hygiene rituals to sleep better, or practicing intellectual humility by questioning their own assumptions, or developing cognitive flexibility by purposefully shaking up their routines. This is what makes the information stick for good. I absolutely love this quote because it just sums it all up perfectly. Format is the map. Content is the journey. You can have the most incredible destination in mind, the best content in the world, but without a map, your audience is just going to get lost. This problem, explain, apply structure, that's the map. At the end of the day, this framework is just so effective because it follows the natural rhythm of how our brains learn. It hooks the mind with a problem, it satisfies our deep-seated curiosity with insight, and then it empowers us with a real solution. And that's the difference between just being watched and being truly remembered. So to put this into practice for you right now, I've got a question. Think about your own communication. Could be in videos, at work, even just in conversations. Which part of this structure, the problem, the explain, or the apply, do you find the most challenging? Is it finding that initial hook? Or maybe it's explaining the why behind it. Just think about it, because answering that's your first step to becoming a genius communicator.